Welcome to the Sack of Stats podcast. I'm Pam Maldonado, joined by Kelly in Vegas, Kelly, my girl, and here to talk about all of the analytics behind the NFL contest bets. Kelly, I had so much fun at the Big 12 championship game. I know it's not NFL related, but goddamn, it was fun. I had so much fun between your friends and the environment and K-State, of course, coming out with the win and just like the atmosphere. It was so electric. I wish more people could experience that to see the team that they are rooting for come out with a win. It was so fun.
Poor you. I was just telling the story of how K-State was up 2 scores. We walked out in the suites. I'm like, who doesn't want free booze and free food with some guys I went to college with? And we get down there and TCU scores. And I'm like, okay. And then when TCU tied it up, I was like, man, we got to go back to club level. Like, we got to get out of here. And you're like, oh, wait for me. And I was like, I didn't want to say goodbye to anybody. And I was just hightailing it out of there because I was like, this is the wrong place.
Oh
the second I got down here, TCU scored. So Pam saw a little bit of crazy Kelly. Pretty sure I still have bruises
the superstitious side of you.
Yeah, both of my knees covered in bruises because we were standing at the upper level of club, and I don't know if I hit my knees against the chair in front of me or what I did, but I woke up Sunday morning, I was like, ow. I'm kind of in a little bit of pain.
And for those of you who think that this little bodybuilder girl who like was in deficit and is like, sticks to her regimen, I'll let you know. I had some adult beverages. I had more than a few adult beverages.
Big time. I lost that bet before we even walked into the game. I was completely floored. I was like, wow, I've seen Pam drink half a drink here and there. So we definitely had a lot of fun. I lost my voice. Somehow it didn't stay permanently gone. But it was a really great time. So I'm glad we got to experience that together.
Well, looking at the slate for week 13 of last week's NFL, I may have won in life with K-State and I may have won in experience, but I lost my best bet. You are definitely starting to crush. You're on a roll here. You are 9-4 with your best bets. Mine are 7-6. Collectively, though, we went 3-2 last week, 34, 29-2 on the season. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I wasn't the only one who was on the Titans and the Eagles. They're good. I'm just going to admit it.
They are good. We'll see how good they are this week, Pam.
We'll see how good. And that's going to allude it to the next thing. So just a reminder of what it is that we are doing. We are putting together 5 against the spread NFL contest picks, and we are automatically in is Kelly's best bet. Automatically in is my best bet. It has been a while since the last best bet that I really liked was the Chargers, and that was like 3 weeks ago when I was in Vegas against the Chiefs. That was the last wager that I like really, truly freaking loved. This week I love mine, but I want to hear yours. Okay. What do you got?
That makes me very happy that you love yours. I don't love mine, and it is a coincidence that I'm going to be going to this game. It was one of those spots where there was 3 divisional dogs that I was really looking at this weekend. 2 were really easy to tease. That was Minnesota and the Ravens. But I ultimately went with the Giants +7. Listen, Philadelphia has been great, particularly as a favorite role. They've only lost 1 game as a favorite, and you guys know which one that was. So I'm not sitting here saying the Giants are going to win this game as touchdown underdogs, but Philadelphia has been terrible against the spread on the road, Pam. Only covered 1 road game in their last 7. I believe it was early to start the season. New York has been an excellent home dog. You and I could talk till we're blue in the face about what an excellent job Brian Daboll has done with this New York Giants team in just a matter of months, right? Unfortunately, the Giants are a little banged up in their receiving core, but that's kind of why I like them here. I do think that they're going to be able to run the ball against the Eagles. I do think they're going to be able to control the clock. I love the under in this game. What did I ended up betting it at? I think it was 44.5 is what I bet it at, and it is still going down. We'll see how much farther the total goes. But hey, kudos to the Eagles. Like you said, Pam, they start off red hot, right? 8-0. They were chucking the ball downfield. Jalen Hurts has pretty much silenced all of his haters. But this is a divisional knockout, drag-out type fight. And you want to give me over a touchdown here? The look-ahead line here was 2.5. I'm just completely floored. I feel like I'm either missing something completely dead on because they tied the Washington Football Commanders last week. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I don't know where this warrants this massive line move. Maybe because the Eagles did dominate the Titans. I think it's a little excessive. I made the game 4.5.
I
I
do
talked to
think
some
that
other
it's a
guys, they made the game 6. So
I,
at 7,
mhm.
I mean, I even played
Well,
them.
last week you said that you were gonna actually do some diligence and look at the contest lines. It
I
is six
lied.
and a half. It is not 7. So for everyone out there, it is not 7 on the contest. It is 6.5. But still, like you said, you
For
like
what
the
it's worth, it is a 6.5 in all of those office football pools I told you that I joined throughout the course of the season as well, and it didn't sway me one way or another. I think the 7, I actually didn't think it would be there for very long. Typically, when you see a 7 hit, like we're recording tonight on Thursday Night Football, for a blip, the Raiders hit 7, right back down to 6.5. So,
exactly.
certain times when that key number hits, you see some buyback. We haven't seen some buyback. So either I'm getting outsmarted by the bookmakers here and making a terrible bet, or the Giants are going to lose by 3, and this game's going under the total.
I also agree with you that this could be like an overreaction to beating the Titans. Like I just mentioned how good they are. It was an AJ Brown revenge game for number 1. I was impressed with Jalen Hurts' passing game. He looked good. You can't run against Tennessee, so they were forced to pass, and it turns out that he did pretty well. But the problem was the thing that people are kind of overreacting to is that the Eagles stopped Derrick Henry because it was, but did they really? Because that was his 4th game where he had rushed for less than 100 yards since he's coming back from injury. So we don't even know if Henry is 100% right now. Henry's 3rd game in his last 4, he rushed for 53 yards or less. Does that sound like King Henry to you? If you
Not at
take away
all.
that game, the passing game's going to struggle. Tannehill, as good of a quarterback as he has been, he's kind of not that without Derrick Henry. And so running back for Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, they are healthy. That's a 2-back rushing unit that you're going to have to defend now. So yeah, I'm fully on board with that. 7 or 6.5, it doesn't matter to me. I love it. My best bet. Oh, I don't love the spread, but I kind of have to go with it because I hated this week. I really had to like look through usually I look at the slate and I'm like, there's 3 or 4 on the board that I'm like automatically locked into, and then I do a little bit of a deeper dive. I had to deep dive into every single game because I couldn't just like automatically pinpoint one that stood out. And so because of the deep dive, the one that I really do love is Lions -2.5 against the Vikings. I know it's like the squares play because like everyone freaked
Oh,
out
I don't think so at all.
when the line
I
when the line opened up, everyone freaked out. Oh my god, the Lions are favored over the Vikings. Like, what is it? Why? It's a 9-4 team or whatever. And I'm just like, so like I didn't purposely look at this and say, oh, I love the Lions. It was through my deep dive research. But pretty
I
much in the
can
last, huh?
go ahead. No, I listen. I text the group chat that I'm in that you're not invited to because you don't have an iPhone. That I go, I sound super square, but I go, how can I not tease Minnesota this week? Now I'm not rushing to back Minnesota here, but I'm absolutely with you. And it's not square, Pam. I'm looking right now at a couple of different sites. Over 70% of the tickets are on the Vikings.
But the
It
line
looks
moved
like
to
a
two and a
trap game
half
from
because it
hell.
opened at 1.5.
Yeah, it looks like a trap game from hell.
So in the past 4 weeks, the reason why I love it is because, and I cannot believe that I am putting this sentence together, but in the last 4 weeks, Jared Goff and the Lions, they're second in the league for offensive scoring, behind only Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Are you kidding me? Well, you can see it. Yes, like visually, you're watching the game and you're like, oh, this Lions offense, it seems like they're finally gelling together. Something is clicking. But now there's like data and information to back it up. Now, I said I don't love the spread because the money line is only -120, 125. I would much rather avoid a spread. -110 or -120 is not that much juice to me. I have laid like -200 in tennis. So I'm okay doing -120, -125 for just to win and not worry about a spread. For that reason is why I said I don't love the spread, but I'm going to use it as my best. But something is definitely brewing here in Detroit. I've talked about it consecutively, how much I really love Dan Campbell as a head coach. When you see, he has been like watching his videos. I am watching every freaking video right before I go to the gym. I want to run through a wall for this guy. Like I want to like bench press 1,000 pounds. And it's just like, he is just such a motivator. And it's really just changed the culture of what this Lions team is going through. And like we saw it last year, they're competitive in every game. Well, now they're starting to win games. They have won 4 of their last 5 games, and the one loss was by 3 freaking points to the Buffalo Bills. They are competitive and they fight till the freaking to the end. But like Detroit, they're 5-0 against the spread in their last 5. They lead. The Lions lead the league in red zone scoring percentage. And it's the Vikings defense. And it is just so absurd to me that, yes, initially I was like, oh my God, they're a favorite. But then it just makes all the sense in the world to me. They're playing at home. Jared Goff does really well at home. The defense steps up. The defense has been playing significantly better at home compared to versus on the road. And you're talking about a Vikings defense that plays zone coverage at the second highest rate in the league. You know who the number 1 quarterback is against zone? The number 1 quarterback is Jared Goff.
I actually wasn't going to interject with it yet, but now since you're touting Jared Goff so much, I have my fantasy football jersey on because we need to beat good old Clay this week. And if we do so, we get a first-round bye. So I needed a good little luck because I haven't worn it on this show yet this year. And guess who we just picked up, Pam? Jared freaking Goff!
I love it. Let's go.
My partner's texting me, and I'm like, why? And then I start looking, and I'm like, ooh, that Vikings
because he's
secondary. Good. Ooh. His stats are so much better at home. This team is great in the division. Pam, remember, I laid it with the Vikings in Minnesota, and they had to come all the way back. I remember Johnny and I went to the sports book that day because I was in Detroit for the Barstool party, and literally he goes, how much cash you got? Give it to all of me. I was like, what are we doing? And he goes, we're going to go bet it all live on Vikings right now. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I've seen this Lions team before. That is my one caveat, is that Lions have beat themselves late in the fourth quarter a couple of times. Outside of that, yeah, they sure look like the play today. Or sorry, Sunday.
And I love that you picked him up in fantasy because in the past 4 weeks, Jared Goff against zone, 79% completion, league high 9.6 yards per pass attempt. The one caveat that comes with that is that he has not had a passing touchdown against zone coverage. But he is still producing all of the points because he's passing deep. He is getting those
well, look at this Vikings secondary. I mean,
so atrocious.
Surely.
They're gonna get downfield. They're gonna figure it out. They're gonna use DeAndre Swift, and people are talking about how much they love like Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. Is anybody looking at Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown? I mean, that is like one of like the best duos in the NFL right now. I love it.
I don't hate it at all. I mean, like I said, I was looking at him early in the week, and I'm like,
so why I said that I don't love the spread is because every time that they have played the Vikings, it has been a 2-point win or loss. 2 points. And the line is 2.5. So I loved it at 1.5. The line is now 2.5. So this could very well bite me in the ass. But officially, my best bet is Lions on the money line. For the contest, I had to take Lions minus 2.5. That scares me. But that's what I'm going with. So then those are our 2 best bets. We have Kelly's. We are taking the Giants plus 6.5 against the Eagles, and then the Lions minus 2.5 against the Vikings. Now for number 3, 4, and 5. I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know.
So I sent you a couple that I lean, and do we agree on any of those?
Let me take a look at your list.
Because the more I look at one in particular, I'm like, okay, this one's too far gone, especially for the team that I just watched last weekend. I'm going, all right, what am I missing here? In the contest.
Which one?
It is 2.5. That would be the Ravens.
Okay.
So
I mean, that makes sense to me.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
Line is 4.5 with Lamar Jackson. I like Lamar. I appreciate his ability to scramble. I appreciate him being the number 1 quarterback, right? But let me tell you what happened. They had these little hot chocolates filled with Baileys, and I was freezing my ass off. So I walk up and I go get 2 of them. And I come back. And in the end zone, into triple coverage, this egregious pass gets thrown. And I sit down and go, fucking Lamar, right? Because I had them in a teaser. I did have over 3.5 field goals, so that ended up working out well for me. But and she goes, oh, that Lamar got hurt. I go, when did Lamar get hurt? Granted, I wasn't looking at the jersey number. I was kind of halfway paying attention. But the body movements, the speed, the mechanics, I don't think warrants a 6-point drop-off. Tyler Huntley is a very serviceable quarterback. Yes, that was the first time he got to. Yeah, that was the first time he got to play.
Well in the relief role.
Yeah, this season. This is a Steelers team that, as you know, does show up, especially against AFC North teams. Mike Tomlin, great as an underdog. Mike Tomlin, as a favorite, a little bit different of a story here. And for them to put a rush defense out there against whether it's J.K. Dobbins, even though he probably won't play, or Gus Edwards or Kenyon Drake, it doesn't really matter to me because I do know that Huntley's going to be able to throw the ball downfield. I also have the under in this game, but 2.5 is, I think, a little bit of an overreaction here, Pam, at that point in time. Just very simple reasoning. Obviously, I'm not going to sit down here and pretend like I'm like some Tyler Huntley super fan. And like you said, we haven't really seen him since last year. But for a backup quarterback to drop off 6 points,
Right. Who's
it's
played
pretty
almost a
excessive.
full season anyway. I mean, it was right around this time last year.
Yeah.
Where Lamar Jackson went out from injury. Huntley came in and he wasn't winning games, but he was covering.
He was. And I think that something that was also brought up on Sunday that was really interesting was why don't more programs, systems, offenses, if you will, whoever it is in the NFL, have more quarterbacks that play like their starters, like more backups on their roster? Because you don't see that with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, which is why they won't go to Jordan Love because he doesn't run the offense the same as Aaron, even though Aaron
Completely
sucks.
different offense that you have to draw
Right?
up.
And so that's the whole
Trey
thing.
Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Exactly. But that's what my point is. They're still running the same Ravens
same.
offense. They really are the same. And for a 6-point drop off, I don't think I'm going to bet the Ravens in real life, but I did tease them at 2.5 up to 8.5 because and in these divisional games that we know are knockout, drag out fights. So that's really the only other one that I could even make a case for. I'll be honest with you.
So to agree on that, I don't feel strong about either side, so I could be talked into it for easily, and there's some data to back it up because 80% of the touchdowns allowed by the Steelers have come via the passing. That's 31st in the league. Huntley, who we are just talking about in length, have already said that he is able. He is covered spreads last season. I think he's going to be fine. You're talking about Baltimore wide receivers who have a league low 1184 receiving yards on the season. That is 29th in the NFL. Well, the Steelers, that's the Ravens, and then the Steelers are 29th. So you're getting 29th and 28th. Both of their Steelers kind of suck because of the quarterbacks the situation that you have. I will say for a live betting situation, this is purely live betting, just because I'm saying a little nugget that makes sense. Watch this game and have your betting app live because Pittsburgh 5-0 in games when they score first.
Wow.
0-7 in games when their opponent scores first.
Whoa.
That is the only team in the league with a completely correlated split remaining. That is
very
absurd.
Odd.
So maybe, I mean, trends are meant to die, but on the live betting situation, if the Ravens score, bet them to win the game. If the Pittsburgh scores, bet them to win the game. Don't worry about the spread. Just take them to win outright. I could definitely be talked into this. We can put that on the queue if we can't make up other options. Can I entice you in one? I'll talk about it. Okay, we've always talked about how if you are betting double-digit favorites in the NFL, you are probably making a mistake because in the long term, that's just not going to make you money. But the Houston Texans are awful. They are so bad. You're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, who are first in defense DVOA. They're playing in their home stadium. Linebacker Micah Parsons is third in the league for sacks. Cornerbacks Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland are both top 10 in the league for interceptions. Dallas this season has held 4 teams to 10 points or less. Those teams, Commanders, Rams, Lions, and Vikings. Is the Houston Texans, whether it is Davis Mills, Kyle Allen, which I think it is Davis Mills, he was confirmed, comparable to any of those teams? That should be like your lone question. Is Davis Mills, Commanders, Rams, Lions, Vikings? The answer is no. Houston has only one player, and that is a running back in Dameon Pierce. You cannot bring a gun to a knife to a gunfight.
A gunfight? I knew where you were going.
You cannot bring a knife to a gunfight against the Cowboys defense right now, who is absolutely just like packing some heat. They are good. And there's a huge difference now. There is now enough data to show that, yes, Dak Prescott as a quarterback behind center has made a drastic difference in this league. He is phenomenal when it comes to passing touchdowns, getting downfield. They are leading the league in plays of like 20 plus yards or more. How are you going to contend and keep up with the Dallas offense when the Texans offense is dead last in converting on third? They're averaging a league low 5.2 yards per pass. What and you have one weapon in Dameon Pierce who can't run against Dallas. What are you gonna do?
So I wanted to contradict something that you said. So Ralph Michaels, good friend of mine, has a database. And last Sunday, he put this out about laying over 2 touchdowns in the NFL, right? It's actually 10, 11, 12, and 13 that are not profitable, but over 14, which also won on Sunday, is now 46, 24, and 4 against the
No
spread,
way.
Pam. It's almost 65.5%.
Wow. That's pretty
So
insane. But this is like I look for strength versus weakness, and I almost made this my best bet. But I'm like, man, it's 17 and a half. That's just like a fuck ton of points.
yeah, it's gross. I mean, it is gross.
It's gross, but can you not as envision a scenario where the Texans score 0? They're
Or
shut
3.
out 40-0?
Yeah. Okay. So this is what I had said was going to happen last week with the Browns, even though I didn't want to take the Browns because of a little bit of a rust factor, if you will, with Watson. And that was my one caveat with that team. I said that two-headed monster in the backfield. If they run Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, they should be able to absolutely pound the Texans here.
Mm-hmm.
Should.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. I just can't see the Texans winning this game in the trenches. I also am a little apprehensive about Mike McCarthy, but he's been doing good.
But we've seen it. We saw it last year. The Cowboys if this was Cowboys 17 and a half on the road, absolutely I would probably be staying away from it. Not probably. I would be staying away from it, but it's the Cowboys at home. And we've seen them absolutely destroy their opponents multiple times before.
Well, they destroy bad teams is what they do.
Bad
right?
teams. They
Sub
beat up on the
500 teams,
terrible teams. We saw it last year
Yeah.
in the Falcons. It was 49-3. That was a home game. We've seen it this time this season. They've held 4 teams to 10 points or less. They themselves put up 30 plus in those matchups.
I'm here for it because I got the Cowboys defense. I need to have a big game.
Let's get all the interceptions. Let's get everything. Dak.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna play that one in because it just like who else is? I don't even care. Just like
I'm in.
It makes sense.
Your analysis, Ralph's got the data to back it up since 2013, even Pam. So like usually we go to 2015 because that's when they move the PAT back, and it does kind of correlate there. But because there's not a ton of double-digit or over 2 touchdown favorites every single year, we have to go back a little bit farther. But we're talking 100-game sample size here.
Right. Okay.
70,
so would you
78-game sample size, but same.
Do you want to plug in the Ravens?
Yes.
Just because we don't really have a lot.
We don't have a lot. This is a really ugly card. I want, personally, nothing to do with the Jets or Buffalo. I did take the under there as well because it's a divisional game. I want nothing to do with Jacksonville, Tennessee.
Well, Trevor Lawrence is probably not going to play.
And that's kind of something to consider. I want 0 to do with the Denver Broncos. But
I do lean the Broncos. Even it's that defense still. It's still a good
Listen,
defense.
I would love to lean the Broncos, but Pam, how the fuck are they going to score? How are they going to score?
By holding Mahomes in check. Every single season, it's the same scenario. The Denver Broncos, they're terrible. They're not going to do well. It's Patrick Mahomes, and then the Broncos cover. Don't they have a good spread record against the? I mean, I swear.
I would have to look it up.
I remember.
Listen, I can tell you this: they don't win. Patrick Mahomes hasn't lost.
They never win, but they lose by like 7 to 8 points. Like I just remember this because I took the Broncos last year as my best bet, and it worked out. I was like the only person on the plane.
Last week, as we were sitting there at the game, and I knew I had 2.5 in pocket with the Ravens and a teaser, and it didn't go to 9 to protect the teaser, I was really cussing myself. I go, this game's going to land like something stupid 1. And that's because I bet over field goals. So I totally jinxed myself cheering for Brandon McManus field goals. I definitely think that Russell was more versatile, if you will. He was not cooking by any means, but it was nice to see him get out there and take some hits, do some like 10, 15-yard runs. I think he had 2 of them. They were on the other side of the field, so it was really hard to tell how far they were exactly. But good God, this offensive line just allows him to get mauled. I mean, he just gets crushed. So Can the Broncos run the ball against the Chiefs? That's my beef. That's my beef here with the Broncos.
It's just the Broncos defense. They're allowing 3.7 yards per play on third down. That's the fewest in the league. They're allowing the least amount of touchdowns in the league by like a large differential. I mean, as long as the defense keeps showing up and it's
So
Patrick Mahomes, and they're
I
not
think
going to
only
not show up.
only one Broncos game's went over this year, I believe.
Yeah, it's 11-1 to the under.
Okay. So I did bet the under, obviously, because I've been betting all the divisional unders and I don't want to cherry pick. But if it's a field goal fest, right, for the Broncos, because they are allergic to the red zone, as we've seen week in and week out.
Are they going to 12 field goals to cover?
No, my question is, can they hold the Chiefs to 24 and somehow put up 17? I just don't see it. I don't see a world.
I don't even think it's going to be that high. I think you're speaking.
You think that it could be like 17-10?
Yeah.
You think the Broncos defense is that good?
I do. Well, especially in the red zone. As long as Patrick Mahomes is not throwing outside of the red zone, then yeah. And we've seen multiple times this season how he is having difficulty with those deep passes because they no longer have Tyreek Hill. He still has all the passing yards, but they're accumulating through these short dink and dunk down the middle passes instead of the deep 40-yard passes that he used to have. So more often than not, you're already predicting that he is going to end up being down into the red zone. And once that is the case, and what have we seen from the Broncos? That they are able, I'm thinking this is going to be like 20-10. 20, oh, that wouldn't cover it.
It can't work, then that's what did you see where I'm going on my head? Listen, I would love to
9.5 at home. I'm on the Chiefs. 9.5 on the road against the number one red zone defense in the league.
Okay. I mean, it's ugly. You know me, I'll take the ugly, disgusting dog with fleas all day and give it a home. But this one is pretty repulsive, especially Chiefs off that loss to the Bengals.
Yeah.
Anything else? I will pencil it in my brain. I'm not going to write it down on my paper.
All right. How about the Chargers plus 3.5 against the Dolphins? I know this is a huge bounce back opportunity for Tua Tagovailoa last week because they went up against the number one defense in the league in San Francisco, who has like a top 5 pressure rate. And we saw it come to fruition. They had the turnovers, they had the fumbles, they had everything. And now you're going up against the Chargers, who don't have a pass rush, who don't have a defense, but it is still Justin Herbert. He's still one of the better quarterbacks in the league. And the Miami defense is just absolute garbage. Not to mention that if this was Miami at home, then maybe I would pick the Dolphins. But Miami on the road, they are 24th in opponent points per play at home. That's terrible. But Miami is even worse when traveling there, dead last. They allow all of the points for whatever reason. I've talked about it many times. I love backing Miami. When I see it, when they're playing a home game, hey, sure, I'm all in. But once they get going on that road, every defensive metric that they have that could be like, oh, that's pretty good. Check their splits is significantly worse when traveling. And now you're giving me the hook. I thought
this was a very fishy line. I'm going, what am I missing here?
Well, for one, the other contest, the line is 3. This one is 3.5.
Ooh. I think my biggest problem is we know that the Chargers have been banged up for a better part of the year.
Right.
Right?
And it's a primetime game.
And it got flexed into primetime. Do you think that they're going to win this game?
Chargers.
Because they don't cover games as an underdog that they don't win outright.
Well, what's been the problem for them last week? They lost against the Raiders, and why? Because Josh Jacobs absolutely went off. Well, the Dolphins don't have a run game. So this is going to be a passing fest. And then it's going to be who's going to go for it on 4th and 1. And then who's going to go for the 2-point conversion. So that's how you get the cover on the 3.5 by missing some of those extra points.
I don't love it. I
just don't know what other things to have. We've already so let's just go down the list.
The only other one I could be talked into would be the Browns.
The only thing that I have for the Browns is that they are really good against the spread historically against the Bengals. Other than that, I don't see it. So talk to me.
Historically, yes. I mean, listen, the Bengals have been absolutely rocking and rolling for weeks. I mean, since I trashed them to Megan, who is a huge Joe Burrow fan, I'm pretty sure they've covered everything but like one game. So, did Deshaun Watson dust off the old cleats? Not really. I mean, he wasn't anything to write home about. 50% passing, not even 200 yards, threw an interception. The Browns just took advantage on defense more than anything, and that scares me. But this is a divisional game, and divisional road dogs over the last like 6 years have been cashing at the highest club. Not divisional home dogs, divisional road dogs have been absolutely money. Cincinnati's run defense is good, but it's not great. And I have a feeling that Cleveland should be able to run the ball against them. I don't love it. That was just the only other one down on my long list. And then situationally, Carolina. Yuck.
Okay. I'm looking at the Bengals and I'm seeing that they have struggled against good rushing teams. So they played against the Titans and Derrick Henry only had 38 yards. Never mind. They contained him. Against the Falcons, they managed handily 35-17. Tyler Algier only had 50 yards, so they have actually been pretty good against the run. So Nick Chubb, as good of a player as he running back as he is, how much success is he going to have? Lamar Jackson himself, who typically rushes for like 90 plus, he only had 58 yards. Granted, they came out with a win, but I really don't have any reason to back the Browns other
No,
than that.
I don't either. That was it. And then the reason why I mentioned Carolina is because Seahawks in a divisional sandwich, right? They just played the Rams,
And they're not going to have Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker didn't practice multiple games. That's also 3.5. Divisional
rival. It's going to be
rival.
Sam Darnold. That's scary too. The guy seeing ghosts. Just 3.5.
But against Seattle, they do have a really good pressure rate too.
That normally my page is entirely full of notes. Pam, look, it's like nothing. It's not. I literally am like, I hate this week.
I do too. Okay, how about then? Any interest in potentially? Wait, how do you see the Bucks in San Francisco?
I watched Tom on Monday night, and I was like, all right, let's see if Tom still got it. And he did, right? He proved that he still had it. I just don't think he still has it. That's the whole thing. I don't. I mean, he had it that night, but I don't think he has anything. He was very frustrated. Obviously, there were several issues. Their offense has just been so bad. I was complaining about the Broncos offense. The Bucks are right behind them, right? Now, then you've got the Niners defense, right? And Mr. Irrelevant, poor guy. We'll see. Brock Purdy came in last week and he did okay.
He did.
That's all I got. How is Tom Brady gonna not get just destroyed? I mean,
yeah.
I was with a Bucks fan sitting there, and he said to me, he goes, Tom does not trust his O-line, because we were in that end zone and I was watching. I'm like, oh my God, no wonder he doesn't.
He's making plays on his own. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You're seeing old man Brady.
He doesn't trust them because he's getting creamed.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a problem. And I think that's kind of what I saw from Russell as well last weekend, where he's like, screw this. Like, I'm just going to do my own thing. Stuff.
So then any interest in backing the Niners?
Oh, I would be Niners or pass for me. I mean, look, the Bucks covered one game. The game I just went to, they still didn't even cover. So
the reason, okay, so I'm glad that you said
I can see the Niners being the right side here.
I could see that. And I'm glad that you said that, because that's the side that's the only other game that I have noted. And it's because the Bucks, I mean, we have been talking about it every freaking week, how they don't have a run game. They are dead last in rushing yards. If you are a one-dimensional passing offense with a quarterback that doesn't trust his offensive line, then you become highly predictable as a play caller. You got away with it last week against the Saints, but now your turnovers become a possibility. Tom Brady has thrown 2 interceptions in his last 3 games. He's thrown 5.7 yards or less in 3 of his last 4. And now he's going up against the number 1 defense in the league in San Francisco, who has Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Jimmy Ward, And you said it, you literally pulled the words out of my mouth that old man Brady is going to be eaten alive. Look at how they made Tua Tagovailoa, who has all of the best wide receivers in the freaking league right now, and one of the best coaches, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks. Tom Brady is a statue. What is he going to get accomplished?
He is a statue.
We plugged in the Niners last week.
Yeah.
Would you feel?
I'm okay.
And I
with
know
it.
that it's Brock Purdy, and you can say the same argument of like, well, it's like he's getting his first start and he's going up against the Bucs defense, but.
So I will say this: while I normally don't take other people's bets into consideration, just because there's just a lot of noise out there, right? Like I told you, I don't like to watch any of the talking heads because I don't want their opinion. I want my own. But I do a weekly show on Wednesdays, and one of the guys I work with that I really respect, I just looked, his best bet is the Niners -3.5. And he's been doing really well in best bets, as have I. And I could see this being a buy low spot on the Niners, if you will.
49ers -3.5 then against the Bucs?
Yeah, we know how Bill Belichick does against rookie quarterbacks, but I've never seen a stat with Tom Brady.
Yeah. Okay. So then would you feel better then? So then that would be our 5th. Would you feel better with the 49ers, the Broncos, the Chargers, or the Panthers? Because I don't think I can do the Browns.
No, I can't
find a reason to back the Browns.
No, I definitely don't want to find a reason to back Carolina. I know that there's a nice situation there, but I wouldn't put my money on it. Yeah, I think we've got it. I think we go. Would you rather have the Ravens or the Broncos?
I think you're asking the Ravens to win. Do you think they're going to beat the Steelers? Because even though their defense has been pretty bad, the Steelers' offense has been starting to look pretty good. Like, their passing offense is starting to like gel together. And I know that it is a rookie quarterback, but Kenny Pickett, he's kind of like starting to like, I'm starting to believe that, yes, he could be a franchise quarterback here.
Ooh.
So for that reason alone.
Those are big words, Pam.
I mean, he's looking pretty good. I gotta be honest. Like, he's not afraid. He's not threatened by a pass rush. And I don't know. I like watching him. I can't wait to watch his progression. And what another year with Mike Tomlin.
All right, I can't wait to not watch this Broncos game. Deal.
Okay, so it would be like Broncos or Chargers is the 5th then.
Broncos. Giants, Lions, Cowboys, Niners, Broncos.
I don't hate it.
I do. And it's perfect. You know why? Last week I didn't like the card and I went 4-1 in my contest. So
love it. Well, then that is our 5 against the spread contest picks for week 14 of the NFL. Kelly's best bet is the Giants +6.5 against the Eagles. My best bet is the Lions -2.5 against the Vikings. And then for the other 3, we have Cowboys -17.5 against the Texans. We're going to be so terrified of this until the game finishes 49-0. Just call. Okay. Then we have the 49ers -3.5 against the Bucs and the Broncos +9.5 against the Chiefs. I say it every week. I don't hate it. I actually kind of really like it.
It's better when I hate it. Pam, if I feel like we're going to go 1-4, that means we're going 3-2 at worst. That's like, it's like the negative vibes that rest right here.
It's when we love something that it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. And then we go 1-4 and we're like, great. That was not how we thought that was going to play out. So it's better this way. We've got a nice little push here. We got to just make a good push to finish.
So we've got the Giants who don't pass. We've got the Lions who are just the Lions. We've got the Cowboys as almost a 3 touchdown favorite. We've got the 49ers who have a rookie quarterback making his first start. And we have the Broncos who don't know how to score anything more than a field goal. You're right. I hate this card.
It's terrible. I mean, it's literally terrible. The only thing that could have made it worse would have been swapping one of those out for Carolina. So
throw up your fingers right now. Fingers crossed that this goes well. Make sure to follow KellyInVegas on Twitter at KellyInVegas. You can follow me at Twitter, PamelaM35. Like, subscribe. Make sure you let us know what you think about our card. Give us your best bets, your 5, and then we'll see what happens. But that's it. Good luck to us. That does it for another episode of Sack Stats.